Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Ni hao ma. Vanakkam. Goedemiddag. Goedenavond. Right? Very good. Then, comment allez-vous? Oh, okay. Do you know that? That's in French, by the way. And there's another one. Goedenavond. Who's that? I don't know also. Thank you for coming, and I hope that you are ready to join me in this session about improving your speaking skills. And in public speaking, or whether you're speaking with someone, persuasive speaking is one of a very special technique. I said that around the world now, there's a new term called the VUCA world. Anybody remember VUCA world that I spoke about? Vulnerable, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Now that's the VUCA world. There's a future world also known as VUCA world. But it is because that people want to sell ideas. In the 21st century, that's the currency. Whether you are doing for your own career purpose, whether you are selling your product or services, or whether you are really going to advocate a new cause, a noble cause, you need to sell that idea by being a persuasive speaker. And that's where you need to persuade with power. And with that opportunity, there's going to be another VUCA world that's going to be created. Anyone? Visionary? Understanding, collaboration, and agile. So this is why I believe that having this skill is going to really help us to move forward into this new, very challenging world. The way we're going to do it, that I'm going to be facilitating, and this is the method. Anyone knows about Grippy? Grippy, you Google Grippy, is one of the things that the trainer would do. What is the goal? Who's playing what role? What is the process? And what is one more? Interpersonal. So this is how. What is the goal? I have my goal. My goal is to ensure that I have not only download what I need to download, but to equip you with all the techniques, the skills, and the ability to become a persuasive speaker. Maybe it's not in public yet, but it is something that you can take away. So tools and techniques. And I can assure you there are 43 techniques if you count one by one. By the end of the day, we are going to do that. You may have your goal. We'll listen to it shortly then as we move along. Roles, I'll be your facilitator. There will be another group of facilitator when we had a session called the Gallery Walk. They are known as the Gallery Curators, and there are 8 of them, which I will introduce them later. At any point in time, also my business partner in crime, Jamila, she's sitting there. So I will then be asking her to do things that whether she wants or she doesn't want to do. So that's something that I can have the license to do that. I have also the helpers around that will assist you in anything that you need. I also need to mention why am I standing in front of you? Who am I? So I'll give you a bit of my intro. Can you switch off the lights, please? Because you'll not see the whole thing. Okay, this is the question I want to ask you. Do you prefer this lighting to snore and sleep, or you prefer the full lighting or half lighting? Because sometimes the slide may not be that.
Anything is good.
You prefer half. Okay, we'll try this one. We see the full-blown lights, and then dark. We'll do half afterwards. I'm 55 years old, and I've been in the corporate world for more than 35 years. My job is an engineer. I graduated as a mechanical engineer, but I continued my journey to become human resource manager for multinational Shell, and after finishing that for about 20 or 26 years, I moved on now to become a consultant. And I took my master's also in industrial occupational psychology. Why I call myself a human engineer? Because I would not be able to do a lot of things with engines, machineries, If I do visit you at home, I would not ask about your compressor or your pump, by the way. But I do like to know about lights on the other side. Oh, video cam. Okay. So I do like to know about how do you help to unleash and unlock your potential. That's my passion. And I've said to people again and again, if I were to be lying on my graveyard with the epitaph saying that here lies a man who unleashed the potential of people that walk through his pathway. That's how I believe in making sure that I'll give you the best. Let me put it very clear to you that one of the things that I did is to my children. I've got 5 boys and 1 girl with 1 wife. I mean, the boy number 5 was more challenging compared to the rest because of his situation. He had to be pulled out from school. You know, he's being compared to his elders, and there's so much of a challenge that we lost at words. Even we had to pull him out from the school to do homeschooling. But there's one thing we had to believe. Something is unique about this boy. We had a book competition at home, and they can read as many books and earn 100 ringgit cash without any GST imposed. He won by reading about 532 books per year. Now, that was at the age of 13, he joined youth leadership program in MIM Toastmasters, and he became the best speaker. That started his journey. At the age of 15, he's already reading the book by titled Republican. Anybody knows who wrote Republican? Plato. He wrote this philosopher at the age of 15, and he discovered finally volunteering himself, although he was not the preferred choice, to become a debater. So he does his debating, became champion in 2000 when he was at the age of 17 for the country, and he moved on to the university, representing his university for now the 3rd consecutive year in the World University Debating Championship. This is what I meant by people blossom. You know, it takes time for them, but we got to believe in them. He's just returning from Krabi, doing his debating. He was ranked the 6th in British parliamentarian in Jakarta last year for the region. So I want you to get the message that inside each and every one of you has that potential to be unlocked. I love creativity. You're going to see some of these slides that I have never ever done before. I have challenged myself. That I am using the entire 8 references that I'm going to share with you. Okay, the 8 references, and each of them has its own unique. That will be a combined tools and technique of 43. And I'm challenging you to see whether is there any of those is being displayed as I am doing this presentation. Okay, so first thing first, these are the 8 that I've mentioned to you. We're going to move on very quickly all the way from Kalyani, Aristotle. Of course, you have to have a local taste, right? And then Monroe, Alan Monroe, he's in Purdue University. I can't avoid Toastmasters, and Brian Tracy is obviously one of those who have been doing lots of books on sales and persuasion. This is the classic one. This is classic because he's doing one of the latest and considered to be the best-selling book. And we'll have a break after we finish that, and that's where we will talk to Jack Canfield, who's going to talk about something very different. It's called elevator speech or elevator pitch. Okay, and we're going to do some role play there. So with that, the learning that I want you to take is from this Chinese proverb. It's a very powerful proverb, by the way, because you could do it anywhere, even in the jungle, right? But can you see the interesting fact? It doesn't say that teaching, it says learning. Why is that? Anybody had any idea? Why is it called learning and it's not called teaching? Sorry?
The participants or the students will learn from the teacher, and then the teacher also learn from them.
Correct. So that's now, used to be that it's called training department. but more and more organizations call it learning environment, learning department, because the onus on the responsibility to learn and acquire new knowledge is at each individual. You are at the driving seat. Therefore, the learning is for this individual to be able to use it everywhere and anywhere. Now, before I start, you know about me now. I need to know a bit more about you guys. And that's where we're going to do a pre-workshop evaluation. Does anybody has all his handphones, by the way? You have? Can you flip up your handphone? Because I'm going to do this little assessment and to use this technique in... So what I want you going to do is go to this website, menti.com. And by the way, I got to coach you, because we're going to do this twice. Pre, and by the end of the session, before 5:30, we're going to do the second one. And can you key in the code 219952? And if you are there are 5 options. So number 1 has said that no experience. Wow. So I need to see more of that, because we at least should have about 38. How many chairs are for 32? So 30. 1 is missing, so 31. Yeah. So 6 people. You still there? We're still there? I want you to be honest, by the way. It's okay. Wow. 13, we're still short. I will not change the page until I've seen. Unless someone did not have their phone and would not have. It's okay if you don't have. Then Jamila can key in for you, or you take Jamila's phone and... You don't have yours? Or you have done it already, right? Okay, 21, come on. We've got a couple more to go. That's it? Wow, 8%. That's about... Sorry. No, tak apa.
Just somewhere.
Yes, somewhere. 24, any more? Yeah, they're still, Just go to menti.com. Oh, there, menti.com. And you key in the, okay, it's coming. Sorry guys, I will not let you go out until we have the final. So you got 1 more here, and the rest are all okay? You're cool? Yeah, okay. 1 more. Tak boleh? Okay, alright, it's coming now. You key in the code 2199. No? Okay, we'll take note of your points, and then you can come back. I'm going to go to the next one now. Okay, this was some of the members in the past that did, which is only 6, but now it's okay. Let's move on. Yes. I do expect some people right here, by the way, because I know some of them are more than 5 years. Yeah, we don't have to know who they are. Strictly, I don't know who, by the way, so I'm not too worried. 21, 29, come on. Okay. This group of people, you need to talk, okay? You need to help us. How do you make yourself to become confident, whoever you are? It's in this range, and majority are in here, and I think that's something that I need to work on. And then finally, this question, what I expect to gain from this workshop. Key in that 219952. Submit. Okay. You have 140 characters, just like Trump, he normally tweets. So, but you can do more short circuit. Okay, to be more persuasive, to speak able, okay. Quickly submit. You don't have to be to write long essays, by the way. Wow, whoever wrote this. Sell product. Learn about the different kind, new experience, tips on delivery, creatively. Okay. It's 14 people already now, 15 coming up. So I'm going to slide up. Majority would still need to have how to speak. So there's an element of how to speak, and then speak confidently, and then some specific areas of speaking confidently, persuasively through sales. Am I right? Yes, yes. I may not touch too much, but I will share with you some of the things that Brian Tracy mentioned in their persuasive skill. And in fact, Toastmasters International, which I will be also using their techniques, will be able for you to use that then. Okay? Thank you very much then. Well done, everybody. We'll do one more round when we towards the end, and to see whether the graph still stays as it is. That will be my challenge, and hopefully we won't be experiencing that. So a quick words from everyone then. Okay. I think we saw why everybody was here, right? You want to speak confidently and persuasively, and some elements of sales. Anybody else has any other things that why are they here apart from they are told by their bosses? Yeah. I don't know what to do on Saturday afternoon. I like to meet friends. Anybody else has any other thing specific which they want to gain out apart from what they've said? Shoot.
What housework?
Good question. I don't have homework. The homework is onto you. But as far as all these notes, we will send you through the email and the notes. So for my interpersonal skills, I really want you to focus and concentrate with me. You're going to have fun with this. And anything else apart from those questions? We're cool, right? All right then. So the first thing I wanted to say is that there is the message about the persuasive skills. Okay? So we're going to learn from one of the very important study impact by Richard Cialdini. He wrote this book in 1984. It's called The Psychology of Persuasion. Okay? Now, in the persuasion, he came up with another element before persuasion. He called it persuasion. Okay? So before I dive talking about persuasion, you need to understand there is an element called persuasion. But this book is predominantly talks about here persuasion. And of course, Ahmad has put in persuasion so that all of you can have your takeaway when you attend and you go back to understand about why it's important to understand that after doing all your persuasive talk, you need to do a post-mortem discussion then. So there is a good article on this. To explain about this, I'm going to ask you to observe this 4-minute video. Now you can take notes here, and then we will take from there into the persuasive element. Okay? So, do you agree that there is an element of persuasion before you do persuasion? What would be the example that you would see before you enter here? There is an element of persuasion before you even do persuasion. Did you notice that? What does persuasion means? Prepare yourself, right? Had I come without this dress, I don't think you will feel that you're going to have a really persuasive talk. The way you groom, the way you prepare yourself is already the starting point. So salespeople, they see you confidently is here, the pre-element. And Cialdini is talking about the persuasion. Okay.
Researchers have been studying the factors that influence us to say yes to the requests of others for over 60 years. And there can be no doubt that there's a science to how we are persuaded. And a lot of this science is surprising. When making a decision, it would be nice to think that people consider all the available information in order to guide their thinking. But the reality is very often different. In the increasingly overloaded lives we lead, more than ever, we need shortcuts or rules of thumb to guide our decision making. My own research has identified just 6 of these shortcuts as universals that guide human behavior. They are reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, liking, and consensus. Understanding these shortcuts and employing them in an ethical manner can significantly increase the chances that someone will be persuaded by your request. Let's take a closer look at each in turn.
So, the first universal principle of influence is reciprocity. Simply put, people are obliged to give back to others the form of behavior, gift, or service that they have received first. If a friend invites you to their party, there's an obligation for you to invite them to a future party you are hosting. If a colleague does you a favor, then you owe that colleague a favor. And in the context of a social obligation, people are more likely to say yes to those that they owe. One of the best demonstrations of the principle of reciprocation comes from a series of studies conducted in restaurants. So the last time you visit a restaurant, there's a good chance that the waiter or waitress will have given you a gift. Probably at about the same time that they bring you a bill. A liqueur perhaps, or a fortune cookie, or perhaps a simple mint. So here's the question. Does the giving of a mint have any influence over how much tip you're going to leave them? Most people will say no, but that mint can make a surprising difference. In the study, giving diners a single mint at the end of their meal typically increased tips by around 3%. Interestingly, if the gift is doubled and 2 mints are provided, tips don't double. They quadruple, a 14% increase in tips. But perhaps most interestingly of all is the fact that if the waiter provides 1 mint, starts to walk away from the table, but pauses, turns back, and says, for you nice people, here's an extra mint, tips go through the roof. A 23% increase influenced not by what was given, but how it was given. So the key to using the principle of reciprocation is to be the first to give and to ensure that what you give is personalized and unexpected.
The second universal principle of persuasion is scarcity. Simply put, people want more of those things they can have less of. When British Airways announced in 2003 that they would no longer be operating the twice-daily London-New York Concorde flight because it had become uneconomical to run, sales the very next day took off. Notice that nothing had changed about the Concorde itself. It certainly didn't fly any faster, the service didn't suddenly get better, and the airfare didn't drop. It had simply become a scarce resource, and as a result, people wanted it more. So when it comes to effectively persuading others using the scarcity principle, the science is clear. It's not enough simply to tell people about the benefits they'll gain to change products and services. You'll also need to find out what is unique about your proposition and what they stand to lose if they fail to consider your proposal.
Our third principle of influence is the principle of authority, the idea that people follow the lead of credible, knowledgeable experts. Physiotherapists, for example, are able to persuade one of their patients to comply with recommended exercise programs if they display their medical diplomas on the walls of their consulting rooms. People are more likely to give change for a parking meter to a complete stranger if that requester wears a uniform rather than casual clothes. What the science is telling us is that it's important to signal to others what makes you a credible, knowledgeable authority before you make your influence attempt. Of course, this can present problems. You can hardly go around telling potential customers how brilliant you are, but you can certainly arrange for someone to do it for you. And surprisingly, the science tells us that it doesn't seem to matter if the person who introduces you is not only connected to you, but also likely to prosper from the introduction themselves. One group of real estate agents were able to increase both the number of property appraisals and the number of subsequent contracts that they wrote by arranging for reception staff who answered customer inquiries to first mention their colleagues' credentials and expertise. So, customers interested in letting a property were told, lettings? Let me connect you with Sandra, who has over 15 years experience letting properties in this area. Customers who wanted more information about selling properties were told, speak to Peter, our head of sales. He has over 20 years experience selling properties. Now, the impact of this expert introduction led to a 20% rise in the number of appointments and a 15% increase in the number of signed contracts. Not bad for a small change informed from persuasion science that was both ethical and costless to implement.
The next principle is consistency. People like to be consistent with the things they have previously said or done. Consistency is activated by looking for and asking for small initial commitments that can be made. In one famous set of studies, researchers found, rather unsurprisingly, that very few people would be willing to erect an unsightly wooden board on their front lawn to support a Drive Safely campaign in their neighborhood. However, in a similar neighborhood close by, 4 times as many homeowners indicated that they would be willing to erect this unsightly billboard. Why? Because 10 days previously, they had agreed to place a small postcard in the front window of their home that signaled their support for a Drive Safely campaign. That small card was the initial commitment that led to a 400% increase in a much bigger but still consistent change. So, when seeking to influence using the consistency principle, the detective of influence looks for voluntary, active, and public commitments, and ideally gets those commitments in writing. For example, one recent study reduced missed appointments at health centers by 18% simply by asking the patients rather than the staff to write down appointment details on the future appointment card.
The fifth principle is the principle of liking. People prefer to say yes to those that they like. But what causes one person to like another? Persuasion science tells us that there are 3 important factors. We like people who are similar to us, we like people who pay us compliments, and we like people who cooperate with us towards mutual goals. As more and more of the interactions that we are having take place online, it might be worth asking whether these factors could be employed effectively in, let's say, online negotiations. In a series of negotiation studies carried out between MBA students at 2 well-known business schools, some groups were told, time is money, get straight down to business. In this group, around 55% were able to come to an agreement. A second group, however, were told, before you begin negotiating, exchange some personal information with each other. Identify a similarity you share in common, then begin negotiating. In this group, 90% of them were able to come to successful and agreeable outcomes that were typically worth 18% more to both parties. So to harness this powerful principle of liking, be sure to look for areas of similarity that you share with others and genuine compliments you could give before you get down to business.
The final principle is consensus. Especially when they are uncertain, people will look to the actions and behaviors of others to determine their own. You may have noticed that hotels often place a small card in bathrooms that attempt to persuade guests to reuse their towels and linen. Most do this by drawing a guest's attention to the benefits that reuse can have on environmental protection. It turns out that this is a pretty effective strategy, leading to around 35% compliance. But could there be an even more effective way? Well, it turns out that about 75% of people who check into a hotel for 4 nights or longer will reuse their towels at some point during their stay. So what would happen if we took a lesson from the principle of consensus and simply included that information on the cards and said that 75% of our guests reuse their towels at some time during their stay? So please do so as well. It turns out that when we do this, towel reuse rises by 26%. Now imagine the next time you stay in a hotel, you saw one of these signs. You picked it up and you read the following message. 75% of people who have stayed in this room have reused their towel. What would you think? Well, here's what you might think. I hope they're not the same towels. And like most people, you probably think that this sign will have no influence on your behavior whatsoever. But it turns out that changing just a few words on a sign to honestly point out what comparable previous guests have done was the single most effective message, leading to a 33% increase in reuse. So, the science is telling us that rather than relying on our own ability to persuade others, we can point to what many others are already doing, especially many similar others.
So there we have it. 6 scientifically validated principles of persuasion that provide for small, practical, often costless changes that can lead to big differences in your ability to influence and persuade others in an entirely ethical way. They are the secrets from the science of persuasion.
What do you think? Very interesting, right? Absolutely. But in fact, I've discussed with my colleague and he came up with another version. He has the 7th version of this 6 principle. By the way, you have the comparison table, right? On that, and you could now start to see that the first one we've just finished, Caldiani, having the 6th principle. My friend believes
Say yes to the requests of others for over 60.
Can you get me the slide? My friend just think that the 7th one, what do you think? To influence or persuade the others. What would be the 7th one, would you think? Because they've already said almost all, right? But he thought that with common purpose, you have a much better sense to influence the other person, right? So like all of you, you are wanting to become a good public speaking, so there's a common purpose. I could have just convinced and persuade you to join Toastmasters, for instance. And there is a higher chance for you to take up that opportunity. So, what I want you to do is that for 1 minute, just chat with your neighbor. So since some of you may be seeing, which one would you think is the one that you are going to use in your future persuasive skills? I just got 1 minute for you, that's all. Okay, I know, during the break you can spend, and by the way, take their phone number so that you can your teh tarik with the mama stall tonight, right? Okay guys. Okay, anyone from here, which one would you take? Anyone? What did your neighbor say? What do you, so? Liking. So that neighbor says liking. Why liking? Why?
We like each other, so buy my presents.
That's right, you know. So you find those people who have that common things. Don't go deep into business first. Do you want to buy my product or not? No. You have not done what we call rapport. Rapport. In psychology and in neuro-linguistic programming, before you want to talk to another party, or even your children, your spouse, whoever, you must build rapport. Why do you want to build rapport? Why do you want to build rapport? Because you want to develop trust. I can trust you. That's why I believe in you. So that's the purpose of having that persuasion before you dive into that. Any more from this side? What did your neighbor choose of the 6? Liking also. Wow, everybody goes for liking. Anyone that didn't do, his neighbor didn't choose liking.
My friend here chose scarcity.
Scarcity. Yes, there is going to be only 3 million tickets sold by AirAsia, and it only happened by this end of this month. Please, you know that's what is the concept, scarcity. you know, limited stock only, and, you know, buy now, get now until midnight, you will just be scrambling, man. So make sure whatever you are trying to sell, idea, you tell your boss, you know, boss, this idea is the only one is the only one in this entire 3,000 people company that is offering to you. You know, you make it scarce. So Kaldiani, to me, set the scene and the landscape to prepare for a persuasive speech. So to start, the next researcher, or what I call, and many people call him, as the father of influence. Who's that? Oh, Aristotle. Born in 384 BC. Okay, you can Google him. There's a lot of anecdotes on him, but he's a philosopher, he's thinker, and he came up with this 3 simple method which is being used even until now. Okay, I also had difficulty to remember between these 3 things: the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. I remembered it. You know how? Jeff would know. The football league, what is it called? EPL, English Premier League. Yes! So, EPL. Okay, now we go deep dive now. Ethos. Ethos is about the credibility or the believability of either it's a speaker or the person or individual or someone that is very credible. That's what Aristotle says. You want to persuade, get that person. So you want to ask children to play badminton, who do you invite, or whose picture should have? Lee Chong Wei. That's right. You know, they're making money to get that certification. Are we clear with ethos? Pathos and logos. Now, the easiest way is to remember logos because it's similar to logic, right? Pathos, because it's not really, because it's all about the heart. It's all about emotion. It's all about how you touch people. That's ethos, right? And in ethos, in preparing the speech, you could see afterwards almost all the speakers use ethos to be a persuasive speaker. I'll let you know. Logos. This is about logic. Where do you touch? Not the heart, but the mind. It's the brain. So how do you convince me that that is the right smartphone to use? No longer about the heart and lovey-dovey thingy thing about a handphone, right? It's about the speed. How's the storage like? What else do you ask? You want to buy the next handphone? Camera, it must have how many pixels, how many, the size, the shape, the sleekness. That's what the master of corporate speaker, the late Steve Jobs, said that when he held the iPod. What did he say? You can keep how many songs in this little thingy? How many? 1,000 songs. So he remembered 1,000 because why? Steve Jobs used logic. So, for the last 3 minutes, I've just taught you what Aristotle's principles and modes of persuasion. What is that? Ethos, pathos, logos. I know you are going to logos because logos is easier, but EPL is easy because you're going to watch which one is going to be in the game now. So, if I've taught you well enough, you're going to answer this quiz very well. Ready for that? Pathos? Are you sure? Where did you see pathos? So emotion is heart. It's pathos. Who do you see? The boy, right? The boy is laughing. Pathos is here. Is there anything else here? There's a family, but that's because dog is part. So that's logos now. So that's 2 inside there. Not 1. 1 is predominant, the primary. Secondary would be the dog, which is loving and people and that sort of things. This is advertisement, my friend. This is not about, but advertisement also has the element of persuasive. They're gonna go to that subtle moment. Let's try the second one now. What do you think? Yes, what is that? Ethos. Who is this guy? Can you switch off this light for this side, please, so that they can see the light? One half only. Yeah, you could see that. And what did he say? You can't see the word there. He said, this is to buy milk, goat milk. And if you drink this goat milk, then you'll be strong like Superman. So logos and ethos is there. What about this one? 1 in 5 women will be a victim of sexual harassment during her colleagues' years. So there's 5 number there. So that's a lot of logos inside there. You know, logos is like have to be there because it's the mind. And then you have the words, and then it's to convince people in terms. There's not much element of pathos or rather emotions, because they could have shown a battered woman being abused or assaulted. You see, right? So if you could improve, you want, because this is only showing the shape of the women as the icon or the silhouette then. Last one. It says there, WWF say, would you care more if I was a panda? What do you think? Yes. Sorry? Pathos. Why pathos? Yeah, that's there. You have the emotional touch of, a panda. What's the name of the panda in Zoo Negara now? You know, whatever his name is. Okay. And who said it? Who said it? It's a bit of small here, but the Worldwide Wildlife Federation. So that's another element. And again, you have taken all them for granted. So that is more referring. Would you care more if I means referring to these dolphins, you know. So that's how ethos, pathos, and logos. You have been a nice group like Aristotle student then. That's it. We move on now to Ahmad's The Anatomy of an Awesome Speech. Now, so you know now, Caldini gives you the landscape, then the recipe by Aristotle. Now Ahmad gives you that structure. Anyone notice anything or not on this 5 anatomy of speech? Anyone notice? A, B, C, D, E. How difficult is that? Okay? So in any speech that you're going to do, there are 3 components. The attention, okay, let me make it more simpler. Back in school days, do you have to do your essay or not? You karangan or not? Okay, that's it, BM for you then, Jeff. So what do you have to do first? The opening, and then the body, and then the conclusion. How different is this? The only thing that I've made it different is that it's just not any opening, by the way. So when some of you watch Harry Potter at the beginning, was it a boring part, or is it a very interesting where you have seen that things flying in the air and car? James Bond movie, it has to be an action pack in the beginning. That's where you will sit. Oh, I better watch. I remember when I was watching Sherlock Holmes, watching his colleague, the detective, Dr. Watson, sitting, crying, and say, Sherlock is dead. That's at the beginning. My God, I have to wait and watch this movie because it has an element of attention grabbing. So anything that you want to speak, make sure it's an attention grabbing. How do you do that? We're going to talk to Brian Tracy shortly. Okay, so Brian is going to give us about 7 tips. Body impactful points. It's actually, to have the body is good enough, but to have body with impactful points is the crux of your persuasive speech. You can have so many different ways of doing a certain thing, by the way. Only top 3. And that is the reason why we use 3, by the way, when we talk like that afterwards. So, but enough for the time being is to use and remember 3 points. 3 points. That's how the brain works. They remember 3 things. Of course, I make it more than 3, but I give you a simple A, B, C, D, E. Conclusive ending. People tend to forget this conclusion. So what? So you have spoken, you give your best action, you spoke the 3 points, and then thank you very much, I hope to hear from you soon, I hope that you will buy my product. No, it doesn't happen. You know, what you were talking, especially with Gen Y, you know what is their retention? Retention of information, Gen Y? Gen Y, are you here? Less than 5 minutes. And you know what? 5 minutes is just the introduction to the CEO, who's just talk and talk and talk. By then, they are flying all over the place already to the Pokemon and all those places. You know, you make sure that while this is being done, conclusive ending gives you the takeaway. So what? What is the element? Now, these two are basically the delivery mode. This is the content, this is the delivery. And I typically focus on 4: words, voice, gestures, and finally props. That's how I typically, and inside there are other elements. Of course, I would say here, like storytelling, quotes, statistics, and that will be given by Brian. And finally, when you do that, you cannot do but make sure you are very enthusiastic about it. Because whatever you have to believe in it, because you don't have any ethos like Superman, right? You don't. But because you believe in that and you already quoted all the big powerful names, that gives you the punch of preparing this awesome speech. I conducted a 2 days program for this, and I know when Toastmasters also conduct, whether it's the youth leadership program or speechcraft and that sort of things, that will be deep down detail that you will have. But I'm giving you now a flavor. So now you know the landscape, now you know the recipe, now I gave you the structure. So we're going to go to next one. And that's Toastmasters International, having this persuasive method in their manual, in the detailed manual. This is the manual on selling an idea, so it's called IDA. So I'm going to interplay between Toastmasters International and Monroe. This is Monroe Motivated Speech Sequence Step, and it has some similarity. Let me start with IDA. Any surprises on the first one? No, because why? I've already told you the attention grabbing, right? So you must get that attention. So not only, of course, you will say that, Ahmad, you learn from Toastmasters. Of course, you use, but I didn't use only attention grabbing. Okay, so that's something. What they added is also, and by the way, the literature or if you Google the word IDA, it's all over the place. There's some writers, some speakers, it used commonly this. The marketers use this IDA method, by the way. So once you grab the attention and you know that this is a problem that you have, so that's the attention methods that it's aware of the idea. So that's the attention. And then you go to the interest. How do you make people interested in your talk? So what did I do just now when I used IDA, by the way, when I had my introduction. What did I say? What benefits are you going to get, right? Whether you're going to speak to your boss for your career, for your idea, I have mentioned to you that you have to make sure that what is it in for me to listen to that guy standing in front.
Know your audience.
Sorry?
Know your audience.
Okay, knowing the audience is important because it's part of the preparation that you have to do. But importantly is that you prick their interest so that then they will continue to listen to you, and then you tell them the desired effect, which is basically all the favorable things that you could convince them. Okay? Once you know that this is the interest them, this is what they are going to get. This is where you develop them to make sure that your opinion is important and they are on your side. Once you reach this, if you want to know more, come to my workshop. You remember I said that? Yeah, come at 2:30 on Saturday the 7th, block your, so but some people felt that it's a bit intrusive. Yeah? So I could have done a bit more subtle, but because of that time constraint. So when we watch afterwards, when we do Jack Canfield elevator pitch, there is a technique that you don't overload the people too much, because it's like selling the thing and shoving into their face. You know, you have to buy this. Okay, so but because I'm in the midst of the Toastmasters and Benny was the host, so I became a bit more intrusive, so to speak. So this is the Toastmaster AIDA method. So I'm going to move because I want to compare that with Monroe. 1924, Alan Monroe from Purdue University. So he developed this sequence technique. You can Google it. And by the way, when you get your notes, it has a web link. Of course, I have spoiled you for asking you to Google more information, but this is the need, you know. No surprise on item 1. So by now, after the 4th or the 5th now research content that I've done, you can know very well that to start a speech, to start your pitch, to start your sales, you have to do this get attention. You move on to say establish the needs. Establish the needs. What is the need? Because here, this one, he uses a technique called Persuade. Can you look at that, your notes? Is it called Persuade? Yeah, what was the first thing he says when you want to get attention? Yeah, you state the problem. You know what's your problem? You got a bad smell, you know, and many people don't want to work with you. I hope you have built the rapport lah. I hope you have made friends already. I have a boss from US. It's a she, by the way. She said that, you know, really appreciate someone who reminded there is a spinach in between your teeth. Appreciate that person, because, you know, sometimes out of many people, when you stand in a crowd and the zip is still on and no one dares to remind the person, so appreciate that person. What I mean to say is that, yes, explain to the guy that there's a problem. And then what is the second thing? Move on to the explain the need, why he need to solve that problem. No girls will come to you if you still continue to have this bad breath, you know. And that's trying to establish that. And then if you do that, what is the next one? P-E-S, what is S? Satisfy the need. So how can you do it? Take my deodorant or buy my fragrance or use this thing to make sure that you can need. And if you do this, paint the picture, paint the future. What is that E? Which means is visualize the visualize the future, you know. So, and then finally tell him this is the action that you have to do. So both has its own similarities, but it also has some fine-tune that is being added in. So to appreciate this and deepen our understanding, I just want to have a mini debate. So this group chooses Mr. Monroe, and this group choose AIDA. So this is Monroe versus AIDA, and just very quickly discuss with your partner, and then we're going to see who thinks which is the best between AIDA and Monroe. Quickly now, just discuss with your partner or your groups. You can do why you choose AIDA and why you should choose Monroe. Very quickly, 1 minute. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Okay, 1 minute is up. AIDA, why do you want to choose AIDA? I come to Monroe after. Why do you want to choose AIDA? Simple. So you got only 4 steps to remember, right? And it's easy, you know. You can ask your colleague now. You can talk to your wife. I'm using AIDA now, by the way. Not another girl, right? They're right? AIDA is simple, straightforward. You know, you can understand that thing. Any more points? Why do you use AIDA?
We can personalize it because it hasn't been broken down into steps yet.
Yes.
So we can just go.
You can just go very quickly, right? You know, and there is another simple method that if you go through on persuasive, especially in sales, start from the end. Start from the end. So what action do you want the audience or your customer do? Okay? And then make sure, in order for this to happen, you work backwards. Okay? The first thing that you need to do, I skip, so he uses 3 steps, by the way. He uses action, and then you must have an attention grabber in the beginning. But in between, you have to make alignment in terms of the points. Either you use desire or interest. There's a very much simpler step, by the way. It's a 3 method. Attention, alignment, action. So you want to do your sales, things about this kind of simple method so that then you can now, the first person that needs to be convinced is yourself. If it's clear in your mind, then it's clear to the audience and the customer. Okay, why do you want to choose Monroe?
We are talking about the future.
Oh, so then Monroe has some future element. You see, Monroe, he doesn't say stops here only because this is the present. Monroe says, oh, guys, look, do you want to be the next future Miss Universe or Mr. Universe? Buy this beefy product, you know, and
Umbrella is going to rain one day.
buy this umbrella, one day it's going to rain, or buy this Bitcoin because it's going to go higher. So there are so many reasons to paint this future. Any other reason, Monroe? What? Sorry? It's quite specific to the needs. It's quite specific. Oh, so they already established by getting the attention what was the problem, right? You have this problem, so it's a very specific things, you know. If you know the group of people, you come to the village and you know this village needs water purifier. So you could say now, you know, visualize the future. How many of your children will not get stomach ache because you have a problem of water supply, the low quality? I'm going to make sure you got a nice, good quality. And by the way, if you buy it from me, it's going to be half of the price by today. If anybody just get it, they can almost get it free. I mean, you make it sound that as if that if they don't have it, you are going to have more children sick. That's why Monroe has his own element. Now, what stops you from combining this? Nothing. I'm giving you the technique now. Okay? How many techniques have you got so far now? 5. No, it's not 5. If you add all those elements, the 6, the 5, the 4 is creeping up now, right? Now I'm asking you now, is the pace okay or not? Yeah, you can bite now. You can bite now because I'm going to go a bit now. I'm going to go a bit more deeper now. Just switch off the light now, slightly, so that they can. You see what's this? What's Malaysian good at, Jeff? Joe? Makan! Oh my God, you know. So now makan. If we were to do with makan, and let's take makan as the speech, the makan as the speech. What did you start first when you want to serve your food? Appetizer! You are absolutely right. Appetizer. Chinese wedding, how many courses they have, by the way? Minimum. Yat mi sam sekang lok chat. But must be 8, right? Prosperity. So minimum 8. So you have your basically courses in food. It could be 8, it could be less. The Malay typically have what, 4 maybe? Yeah? I don't know about Indians. How many do you have?
Depends on how rich you are.
There's a good Harvard, the way you responded it depends, you know. So when you finish your appetizer, you finish the course, what do? Do you have to have dessert? Yes, of course. So this is what we call do not desert the dessert. Am I right? Do not desert the dessert. Yeah, absolutely. Now that's exactly what we do in speech. You have the attention grabber. Then what? Body impactful point. You're getting it now. And finally, conclusive ending. Now I have 2 more, remember? Which is the post, right? And in the beginning, which is the pre, right? What do you have to do before you invite people to come to eat here at your place? What do you have to do? You have to prepare. What do you prepare? Tell me now, how do you have to plan, right? The date, people whether they eat vegetarian or non-vegetarian, what else? The venue, the seating, the layout, arrangement, and all those stuff. Is this important or not? Of course. So all of us has been preparing this, but forgot about this. She prepared for everything, but everybody that came was just a vegetarian. That goes also in preparation of the speech. You need to know your audience, you need to know the layout, you need to know the place, you need to know the lighting, you need to know the aircon, you need to make sure, and that is being done in many of these books that you read. They have that preparatory moment then. Is there anything after you finish eating, what do you have to do? With some leftovers, right? So what do you do with leftovers? You can pack, it's a tapao, right? You can tapao, man. You can, that's takeaway. You got to do the cleanup. Somebody has to clean up. Of course, you will say that the Ahmad, but something. You still have to arrange for that person or whoever to do the cleanup. Do you do post-evaluation in this one? And do you like the food or not? Do you enjoy it? You do, right? Yeah, you do that post-evaluation, also assessment, whether you have done it well, so that when you do it again, you can better and improve it. How many of you, when it comes to your speech, you have done that evaluation? You assess. You ask yourself, did I do it right? Because if you practice it continuously and you become a perfect, whatever you are practicing is a mistake, then it's a perfect mistake. Take it from me. I know practice makes perfect, but if it's a wrong practice, it will come out wrongly. Makes permanent and it's becoming a habit. Yeah? So this is the breakfast for champions because they continuously evaluate themselves. Takeaway, of course there is some takeaway. And what I mean by takeaway is that when the audience listen to your speech, how long do you think that they will remember your speech? How long? How long do you want them to remember your speech? Forever! Now I'm going to ask you a very difficult question now. How do you make your speech remembered for the rest of that people's life ever and ever? Shah, I've always remembered you when you gave me that speech. How can you make it?
Impeccable speech.
Impeccable speech. How do you make her speech more impeccable?
Personalized.
Sorry?
Personalized.
Either she personalize it, or she shows certain demonstration, she make it very memorable. Okay? Now, the question that you and I will ask now is that, Ahmad, attention grabbing, yes, I'm going to talk in Brian Tracy, but the thing that I wanted to ask is that, how are you in the body impactful points when you do your speech? How do you prepare that? How do you prepare that? Because CE is a summary of this, but this one is the most difficult one. And sometimes people have difficulty. When I teach my student what are the points that they want to do, I use the concept called PESTEL. This is subject, by the way, P-E-S-T-E-L. I don't know what subject to use, but typically these are the subjects that we have around the world that you can use. Anybody guess? Anybody good guess? What's that? Politics, correct. Economics, social, technology, environment, legal. And then you deep dive into any of this area. PESTEL is a nice way. But if you have a passion on one area, social, helping out single parent, helping out children in the third world country, then focus on that as your subject. Okay? When I start my speech, any speech, I will have my mind mapping. This is my intro. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, and my ending or conclusion. So this is my attention grabber, this is my conclusive ending, this is my BIP, body impactful points 1, 2, 3. So I'm giving you now a 1 minute for all of you to do this simple exercise called the mining exercise on body impactful points. Use your post-it note and just give one idea, lights please, how to craft an awesome speech. Only one idea, and I want you to use this, and I want to use big words. Okay? I want you to build up the points on this particular title of this topic, how to craft an awesome speech. I give you the answer now. Google. Okay, so someone can write Google. So we're going to craft this speech now, this title now. So quickly write only one of the post-it note. What is your idea on how to make this speech an awesome speech? Okay, this exercise is about trying to build these points. Can you just suggest to me one point to cover for this topic? I've given you the answer. One of the points to craft an awesome speech is Google. Just write Google in a very big. What other ways? What other ways apart from Google? Can you please write in the big? Yeah. I just need one answer saja. 14.
An awesome speech.
How to craft an awesome speech. So, 1 point. Oh, story. Okay, right. Can give it to me. Stories, pass it to me. Only 1 point, one post-it note. I just need 1 point. I got 30 points by now. Big. I want big. Stories. Come. Cukup. Okay, we got 1. Oh, so we got 2. So when you, so imagine you're going to give a talk to say that how to craft an awesome speech. This is my, okay, video. Come on. Can you write in behind the much more, can you write video this? Tell a joke. Okay.
Life experience.
I actually, do you know that I'm using you all as a human Googler now? You are all Googler, yeah? Okay. Any more? All right. Games. Whoa. Okay, what I'm going to ask now, the gentleman here, Hanson, can you now cluster these points, because we have done mining now. I've done some mining work from you to get the points for this title, right? I've done that within a minute. Now I'm going to do refining now, which is I'm going to cluster them. So can we cluster? So tell a joke, one.
Joke.
It can be stories, jokes, humor. Where is humor?
Here.
Yeah.
So 2 is it? Okay.
Yeah. Google is another.
Personalized. Interactive.
Personalization. No, interactive is can. So this is this.
Okay.
Emotion. That's personal emotion, which is experience. Google is on its own, by the way. Okay. Tears. Yeah. You can make it very interesting, right? Tears. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, audience interest, study your audience. Sensitivity is tears. Pollution. What is pollution? How do you pollute people to get this? No, it's not about mining, by the way. It's about this particular awesome speech. Okay, it's okay. Sing a song. You can sing a song. Yes. Life experience is about emotions. Eventful. Yes, about emotion. Got a quote there. Currently hot topic. Yeah, you make it an awesome speech when you make it a hot topic, which is very interesting. And you can Google it. Audience interest is here. Study your audience. Pollution, it's not there yet. Make it interactive. You can sing a song by being interactive. Hot topic, which is very contemporary. That can be your study with your audience. And then games is part of sing a song. You give a quote. Where would that be? To make it convincing. B, interact. Okay. So, what I have shown to you now, I have now see 4 different ways of crafting an awesome speech. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know that in order for you to make an awesome speech, you can tell a joke or stories and that sort of things. I like to tell you my personal story. Point number one. Point number two is that there is a very painful and hurtful experience that I will share with you so that you can remember and so that you can avoid using it by following my example. And then I'm going to show to you a new technique of how do you manage and make sure that you can make it an awesome speech by either singing the song or play games and a quote from Abraham Lincoln. That's it. I've ignored this because I maintained only 3. Are we okay? We have just crafted, and give everybody a round of applause. So how many have you got now, guys? How many have you got now? Are you tracking now? So we haven't got Mr. Tracy, right?
A bit my name, they thought it's speech.
So we're going to try now to listen to, so where are we now? So I've jumped a bit because I thought that you need to know this BIP just now, right? But more importantly is also the attention grabber, making sure that people are able to listen to you at the beginning. So we're going to listen, Brian Tracy, he's giving us 7 different ways of how to open up your speech. Okay, so I didn't focus just now, I was more focused on body. So now I'm asking you to listen to Brian to think of the 7 effective ways then. I hope this time it works, guys.
Hello there. An important part of designing an excellent talk is to plan your opening and to introduce the subject so that it connects to your closing. We imagine that a talk is like a circle, right? It starts at the top like a clock and it goes tick, 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 and it comes around back to where it started. The opening sets the stage. It's almost like spiking a volleyball. The opening sets the stage and starts the ball in play and leads to the end of the game.
What time do I say?
So here are 7 ways that you can open a talk effectively to achieve this result. The first way to open a talk is to present a problem as needs a solution. For example, you would say, ladies and gentlemen, our sales are down, while the market is growing.
After this, I have one more item, and then I will ask you to pull in. No, we watch one video first. After the video, we pull this thing.
You can start by saying, everyone wants to be financially independent, but only 5% of people achieve it. In this talk, I'll show you how you can be a part of the 5%. You have everybody's attention. Another way that you can open a talk is to ask a rhetorical question to grab attention. A rhetorical question is one that has an obvious answer, such as, how many people here want to live to be 100? This is a fabulous opening since everybody will raise their hand or lean forward. And then you say, well, I will share with you today some helpful habits that can dramatically increase the likelihood of you getting to 100 years old. And everybody who's interested in health will be leaning forward to hear what you have to say. They'll wonder, what is it? What can I do? How can I achieve that goal? A fourth way you can open a talk is to make a startling statement. I once heard a speaker friend of mine say this, ladies and gentlemen, 72% of you here will be out of this current job within the next 12 months. Now that's a startling statement, and it causes everybody to relate to it personally. And then he went on to explain and talk about change and transition and downsizing and the importance of keeping up your skills and so on. A fifth way you can open your talk is to tell your own story of why you're here. You could say something like this. When I got into sales management, I didn't know anything about how to sell or how to manage people, and most of my best people quit within 2 months. Then I sat down and I figured out that the problem was me. This is a very good way to open a talk, and if you're speaking to sales managers, especially because they can instantly relate to what you're saying. A sixth way that you can prepare a wonderful opening is to compare or contrast two things or two conditions. That gets people's minds really alert to the subject. For example, you could say, more people are healthy and living to be 100 today than at any other time in human history. And yet, more people are overweight and dying of degenerative diseases today than ever before in human history. Why is this happening? After this, everybody will be interested and ready for your talk. Lastly, promise them advantages and benefits from listening. In other words, you could say, with what you learned today, you're going to gain 2 hours of productive time every day, increase your income, and have more time for your family. This is a powerful way to get people's attention. Thank you for viewing this video on the 7 most effective ways to open a talk and make a powerful presentation. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button below and click on the link on the screen to subscribe to my channel.
Can you have the lights? By the way, there will be the web link, YouTube link for this, and you can continue to browse it. 7 ways effective. Did you catch any of them? Even without looking the notes? Yeah? Yeah, you catch it, right? Okay, now don't look at your notes. We're going to do a bit of a brain popcorn, which means what are your thoughts and ideas other ways than what Mr. Brian Tracy did? What other methods? What other ways? I'm talking to those 4% confident and 4% very confident. The 8%, come on, tell us now. Share your secrets before I call names. What do you think?
Tell them about promises.
Tell them about? Promises. So how do you do tell them promises? How do you, is it a startling statement or is it?
At the end of the speech.
Okay.
Tell them that
This is the beginning of the speech. We're talking about how do you make your beginning impactful. So you got 7 techniques, but we thought that some experienced people and powerful speakers, what else can you think? Startling statement is already mentioned by Brian Tracy to have that startling statement. Am I right? Can you look at that? Number 6, problem solving. No, sorry. Yes. Number 4, startling statement. Benny, you're spot on with Brian. Anybody else has any idea?
start with a quote.
Start with a quote. Why not? Why not? Why not start with a quote? I have a book called the Quote Book. Can I have that quote book? No. It's. Let me just make sure I have my book. Oh, just a minute. A quote. That's right, Grace. Reader's Digest, big book of wit and wisdom. Okay? Yeah, why not? That's about heaven and hell also, believe it or not, you know. And it's quite latest and it's quite good. But of course you have Mr. Google, right? Just grab Mr. Google and do it well. So I'm sure you know you can use this then. Any other ways? One more. Yes? Personal experience, which is a personal story, right? So that's in number what then? Number 5. So I'm asking you now more than 7 ways of opening this. Show something. So bring a product, right? So make it visual, you know? Right, okay. Can you also, when you want, I remembered when I was training this guy, he wanted to talk about how to help blind people. And he acted in the manner that everyone remembers his speech. As he was walking in, he got a stick and was wearing sunglasses. And he was just walking that way. His entrance was really memorable. Yeah? So that's not an opening speech yet, even it's an opening act for that matter. I like to cut our life short because we don't have much time. In his book, this book, he gave on chapter 4, page 61, 20 other ways of opening your speech. And I read this book. How to give a damn good speech. With Philip Talbot, he has 100 ways to open a speech. you're not short of references and way. And that's what I think you ought to have it, and you got to see it whether you could develop as one. But make it simple in the beginning, yeah? Make it simple. We're moving on now, next, to the number 7. Are you ready for this? Yep. Okay. Carmen Carlo. Okay? Carmen Carlo. You're going to listen Carmen Carlo for 2 minutes. Why did he write this book? Was done in 2013. It became top. Was on a bestseller, and he is the author of also the Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs. And I just bought this latest book that he just wrote also last year, which is the Secrets of the Storytelling. So let's listen to Mr. Carlo then.
Ideas are the currency of the 21st century. In the information age, you're only as successful as your ideas.
Wait.
With your dreams. Imagine what your life and your career.
Okay, I'm going to push it back, okay, guys?
Ideas are the currency of the 21st century. In the information age, you're only as successful as your ideas. The ability to communicate persuasively is the single greatest skill that will help you accomplish your dreams. Imagine what your life and your career would be like if you could master the communication secrets shared by the world's most inspiring people. I wrote Talk Like TED because, like it or not, your presentations are being compared to the TED style. TED presentations have been viewed online more than 1 billion times. I've analyzed hundreds of TED Talks, 150 hours worth. I've personally talked to some of the most popular TED presenters, and I've interviewed leading neuroscientists, researchers, academics who explain the science of persuasion. As a result of my research, I've discovered 9 secrets, 9 techniques that appeal to the way our brains are wired to receive and process information. For example, Brian Stevenson, a civil rights attorney, received the longest standing ovation in TED history. The people in the audience were so moved they donated $1 million to his cause. How did he do it? He touched people emotionally, what Aristotle would call pathos. Stories made up 65% of his presentation. Researchers have discovered that if I tell you a story, it triggers or stimulates the same areas of our brain. That means our minds are literally in sync. Storytelling is just one reason why TED Talks are so effective. I also explore the ideal length of a presentation, how to practice, how to use your body language effectively, how to craft and create memorable messages that stick, and also how to build in multimedia components that are visually engaging. Visuals are very, very important. If I deliver information verbally, you might remember 10% of what I tell you. If I add a picture, you'll remember 65% of my content. That's why the best TED presentations are visually appealing. Many people have a fear of public speaking. Talk Like TED will give you the tools to overcome that fear and the skill to win over hearts and minds. You have ideas that were meant to be heard. Use your voice to astonish people, to inspire, and to change the world. Ideas are the currency of the 21st.
So what do you think of Mr. Gallo? How do you think his style? What do you think of his style? Very casual, but yet impactful. Why is it impactful? From where do you know that it's impactful to you? How did he demonstrate that? What did he use? Sorry? Statistics. So expert advice. Yeah, that's right. No, it's okay. No, don't. There is a technique called press B. So expert. What else? By the way, all these answers, you can take it note as the right thing. Real life example. Yes, he had some real life. He took that Bryce. How much money did he? 1 million. How do you know it's 1 million? Not only he said so, but it's also shown there. Imagine that is your PowerPoint slide. How many words inside there? Only the word 1 million. That's what they want you to remember. 1 million, not the bullet points that you're going to put that no one will care. I have nothing against PowerPoint because I'm using PowerPoint. But that's what they call the death of PowerPoint, is when you use the bullets to the death. And no one can reach it. So, in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to work with you on the 9 secrets. Are you ready? Okay. This is the 9 secrets that we're going to work. You saw my profile just now, right? When I show you the hand and that sort of things. Yeah. One of the reasons that I do always do that, like I told Jamila, I'm a big picture person. I have to see the forest, the big landscape. I know where is the trees, where's the river, where's this, and that sort of things. I don't go to the detail yet. So now I'm going to also present the 9 secrets of public speaking from top speakers using the TED technique, which Gallo has done it. By the way, he has a 1 hour on several occasions in Google, in Stanford. You can watch the video that he's presenting, almost the same, but on that particular topic then. And you remembered already, right? I've already said some of the words that he used. Part 1, this is emotional. And where does it come from? Where does the emotion come from? I need help, by the way. Where does the emotion comes from? From heart. But who told us about it? What is it that Aristotle told us? Pathos! Oh, well done, you good student. You remember, give it yourself. Can you flip it for me, right? So, now you know why pathos is important. The question is, Ahmad, how do I make my speech have all these pathos element? One of them. Let's start with number 1. What do you think? Personalization is quite close. It's called Unleash the Master Within, which is about you as the speaker has not only the authority, not only the expert, but you have the passion in order to do that. When TED Talk called a lady by the name of Amy Mullins, by the way, you can Google this, and that's why the use of this white paper for you to write, I must go and Google or search, right? Whatever I've been saying to you. I save you a lot of trouble doing the search, by the way. Or you can read the book, because that is also the front page of his cover, his first subject, which is, by the way, before I move on, do you know what the TED Talk means? And what does it mean, TED Talk, T-E-D? It's not by the name of a TED guy or Ted Bundy or this Ted Bear, Teddy Bear, whatever, you know. Technology, entertainment, design. So these are the topics that connects the world, because they have what? What is the currency of the 21st century? Ideas. Amy Mullins has 12 pairs of legs. That was the picture that Amy Mullins did. So that's make it memorable. That's make it impactful, right? You could see the 12 pairs of legs. Because of her situation, she was in an accident, and because she became a handicap, she wants to prove to people that handicapped people are normal people, and she became, when the legs amputated, she then be able to use that. She became a model, she became fashion, but she's also a 2 Paralympic gold medalist. He's flying airplanes and that sort of things, you know, and he make a laugh about it, because he says, if one day I want to be tall, I just wear longer legs. And tomorrow, if I need to be short people, I wear shorter legs. You know, so that's how she, but the most important thing is that it's inside her. So whatever is inside you, so that you can persuade others. You believe in your product. You knew it. So the next one is storytelling. Just open up now. See on. Master the art of storytelling. Why? because they are very important and very, I mean, there's a book about storytelling. There must be something inside it. You know why? When he talks about the brain power just now, the University Harvard professor, what he did was is that the speaker and the listener link up to the neural system, and they could see after the speaker spoke several minutes, the same position in the brain start to blink, which means the speaker and the audience suddenly synchronize. Because why? Stories are the things that make two different people together, connected. And stories are data with soul. That's a quote, by the way, and I know you can Google that quote. Because with stories, it has that very impactful element. Okay? And I want to make sure you personalize your stories. There's so many stories that you could use. And there's a reason why. When you make stories, you make connection, emotion. Then the third secret, if you want to have things connected, is by having a conversation when you speak to the audience. You're not faking it. You could see in your body language, and you could then be able to connect. And that's why some of the techniques that he asked is that for you to be able to connect with the audience. So you don't have to make it so difficult, but just remember that a speech, you could do it well by having a conversation with your audience. Are we okay with emotions? And that is pathos, right? 65%. Okay. What is the next secret, which is the part 2? What do you think? So after you touch your heart, what did you need to touch now? The brain. Okay, that's part 2 now. Part 2 is all about getting new ideas. That's what novel means. If you talk something which is already been known in Google, the joke that has already been mentioned through the WhatsApp, and the mama store has been laughing about it, and you repeat it, the brain doesn't get connected. You know? The brain doesn't feel that effect. And I want you to be mindful. What is it that you're introducing in your speech? What is it that makes your speech something that the brain can connect? And that's the point that I always want you to remember when you include in the points of your speech. So going now to number 4, still about the brain, is teach me something new. You know, there is this thing in the brain. So your brain produces a lot of things. When you're stressful, you have what they call cortisol, right? So that's going to be bad for your health. So there are a number of things in your body that the body works so that then it develops new things. So it is so either inspired or it gets motivated, and you have that. So the chemical is known as dopamine. So which means if you do jokes and all, if you tell something new, something good, your brain will be responding very well, right? And therefore you will be stimulated. I want to know more. I want to know about Bitcoin. I want to know about how to get new, buy the helicopter that is going to replace cars, how going to use the future transport system. You want to know these new things because of this element of novel. Okay. Next, why do you want to make people feel that this speech not only has something for them to teach, but deliver jaw-dropping moments? Jaw-dropping moments. Anyone had a jaw-dropping moment during my session up to now? Not yet, right? But can you see the pictures now? Do you think that the pictures has some element of jaw-dropping moment? Yes. Yeah, there's some possibility to that. But if you watch TED Talk by Bill Gates, what happened was, and this was quoted in the book, that he came and he was one who wants to fight malaria in Africa. So what he did was he brought a jar, crystal clear in the jar, and they said there is the mosquitoes inside here that I brought from Africa into this Tech Talk conference. I'm going to release this mosquito because, I mean, mosquito don't just bite poor people, they need to bite other people, you know. So he releases it. There was gaps, and there was a jaw-dropping moment in the whole thing, and it makes the brain clicks, right? So it makes the brain clicks. So that's how it is. And the final one is for Novel, not only jaw-dropping moment, but it's also humorous. They add humor. You lighten up, yeah. You lighten up the conversation. So I wanted to touch this because jokes is something that you would like to include, humor. You watch a very, very entertaining guy who had a very boring profession. He's a statistician, but he uses his technique. His name is Hans Rosling. He's, I believe, from Sweden. Watch his TED Talk. It came 5 million hits within the shortest. And Richard Branson says he's one of the most memorable TED Talk because what he did was, you use statistic of the entire world from 1960, from the early 1900 to the present. What he did was using bubbles. You can see bubbles, the size of the population of China and Africa, Arabs and Middle East. So he made that movement live. 1962, the bubbles get bigger in Africa, and then suddenly it goes down. So he was so very powerful because he lightened up people. He used humor. There was some jaw-dropping moment when they can see the thing happening. So I marvel. I watched a couple of times. Really, indeed, very interesting.
He passed away a few months ago.
He passed away already. Oh. I think lighten up is something that you need to add in your. I tried very much because this is 2 to 3. This is the best time to take a nap, by the way. So I had to give you some jokes and crack and to make sure, you know. So dopamine is one. I have these other chemicals that you need to release in your body. Your body is a producer of all these chemicals, by the way. But some are related to the speech, some are probably not. This is oxytocin or oxytocin. This is more for intimacy and love and relationship. You know, when the mother was so painful delivering a baby, and yet suddenly she loves the baby. Oxytocin, that's it. When you had your first honeymoon, you remember the person. You just don't want to have going to work because honeymoon is the best thing in your life. Because why? Oxytocin, yeah. Serotonin and endorphin. So have a dose of this thing, but I don't want to go through it because I think it's not going to be a medical science class today. So remember that because that's the other element that makes it more interesting. So finally, what do you think? It will be memorable. So that's the memorable that you mentioned just now, ma'am, Puan, in terms of make it memorable. Make the speech memorable that people can memorize it. Yeah, so it's a memorable experience. So let's move now quickly to number. This is where he said that in the TED Talk policy, you can only speak for 18 minutes. Hey, how is it 18 minutes, huh? How can you make sure that people can remember within 18 minutes? So you use then the power of 3. The power of 3. How many minutes per item? 6. That's long enough for the brain to keep retaining the information, but short enough to make it very interesting. That's how. Stick to the 18 minutes if you have a long speech, otherwise break it into the chunks. So what I took from this particular element is use the power of 3. And if you use that, he wants you to speak at the pace of 190 words per minute. That gives you about 3,240 words in 18 minutes. That's how Can you speak at 190?
It's very fast.
It's very fast?
It's Kennedy's speed, right?
Yes, Kennedy. That was his recommendation in his book. But for us, I think I typically go around 120, 130. 150 is probably a nice way, but there is that fluctuation that you want to make so that that's a science by itself in terms of speaking. The next one is to make it memorable. This is the favorite one. This is my favorite one, because whenever you have your presentation, whether it's the PowerPoint, and I've mentioned it, is to evoke that mental picture with multi-sensory experience, to evoke the 5 senses. You see? And he is consistent. He used the 3 elements, and he used each with the power of 3. And he's seriously advising not to overuse the PowerPoint. Seriously. Bullet points, I mean, not PowerPoint, bullets in the PowerPoint, because you are going to make your audience. Because at the end of the day, for me, when I choose all this picture, you could understand this, but I have pathos with you because you saw the baby, right? The baby with the computer, so you knew what I'm trying to say. When you watch these pictures, it evokes some sense of really powerful. But I can put there, dot, number 1, go to the river, 2, see the, I mean, I could have done that, right? But no, I did not. And last but not least, to make it memorable, to stay on the lane. What does it mean by stay on the lane? You do not need to copy other people's way or techniques, right? You do not need to copy the other ways by other people. You are your own. You may have to develop it at the end of the day, but you own it to yourself. Stay in the lane means that you build the method that you have. You use whatever ability you have. You get feedback from people. You find this experience an experience for you to be able to showcase what you have. Okay? You have just read the 265 page of TED Talk Like TED. How much time I have saved for you? Any thoughts on the 9 secrets? Anyone? It's a sharing time now. Benny, what do you think?
Well, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic, right? Yeah.
Presenters, it's always about the power of 3. So even the 3 areas.
Yes.
So everything's linked together.
Yeah. It's very easy, it's simple, and you could do it. But no longer I'm talking about the structure, right? No longer I'm talking about the methodology of Ida or Monroe, right? Now, I have bring everything and consolidate that into how your speech can be powerful, impactful, and memorable. That's what I want you to do. That's what, I did not teach you very specifically. Look, I could have gone in this half conversation. He spoke about how Colin Powell, in one side, the way he speaks, and in the next side of the column, in his whatever words he used, what hand gestures did Colin Powell use? Either the hand or the feet or the movement. That's a separate advanced program. We will work out next sequel, maybe either one of my colleagues will be able to do that in terms of positioning, power positioning, hand gestures, facial expression, and all those elements. In this thing, let me give you, they had just on this subject of facial and that sort of things, they investigated and asked and interviewed the FBI investigators on trying to see whether a person will tell a lie or not. First experiment, close your eyes, everybody. I did not steal the neighbor's chicken. Okay, open now. Just by listening my words, how many people think that I'm lying or I'm not lying? You don't know, right? But if you were forced to guess, FBI people say 55% will answer it correctly. Okay? Now, that's words. No words. Am I telling lies or I'm not telling lies? About the case of the missing chicken in Jalan Tengku Abdul Rahman. What do you think? If you were to force to guess whether I'm telling lies or not, 65% of the people will say will predict it correctly, will answer it correctly, just by watching my gesture. So this is my voice. This is my gesture. Now what I want to do is voice and gesture. I did not steal the neighbor's chicken away. What do you think? Did I lie or did I say the truth? How do you know? Sorry? I was happy. My gesture does not correlate with my voice. The accuracy is 85%. There was a fourth element in the study is not only they give voice plus gesture, they give the profile or the case or the report document for the persons to read. And you know what is the percentage of accuracy? 93%. Have a conversation. Make sure that you will be able to convince the people by having that voice and that hand gestures, the body position movement, all orchestrated in the manner. So when I gave my speech in the contest, when I was talking about appreciating my mother, I said in anybody's birthday, the first thing that you would do is to walk to your mother and hand over the flower to her. I didn't mention the word flower, but I gave the red rose. She is the person who deserves to be thanked for who we are. Did you see that I came down just now? Some people did not see, right? It's because I've synchronized my words, my thoughts, my reaction, so that it was come naturally and gently without disturbing the entire purpose of my speech. That's the power of gestures and words. Now that you know the title of my speech, it makes it more believable that after this, whoever is celebrating their birthday is going to give the flower to the mother. Okay, by the way, I need to make a correction. Have you heard about Mehrabian? Mehrabian? What did Mehrabian did? What he did was he said, when you give a speech, words is 7%, gestures is 55%, this is word, gestures, and I think, 38, yeah, can't remember what was it. This is, to make effective in the voice, this is the voice, correct. So 7% is because of the words, 38% because of the voice, and 55% because of the gestures that will make you convince and be very persuasive speaker. Now, I've gone through Mehrabian official website. He says that this is taken out of context. The only thing that makes it effective when you speak with a lot of gestures is when there's a lot of emotion. When someone had a very difficult moment, passing away of a loved one, that act, gestures, is powerful, right? But if you do phone call, hello, can you give me the telephone number of this Tan Chong Motors? Do you need to do gestures or not? To be effective? No need. Voice alone. So this 7, 38, 55 have been quoted around the world, and Gallo in that book have also qualified it that it is not right contextually. So I want to caution people. This is real by FBI, is also in the book, and this is also something that I want you to be aware in case you need to quote things then. I've gone through 7 different references in the last 1.5 hours, am I right? So we still have 1 more to go and a few more activities. But before we take a break, We take a break. We're going to take a break. I will give you a break, by the way, but I will not make it long because make it worthwhile. It's already now 4:30. Can I know who are the people who are not in Toastmasters? Can I just raise a hand? Not in Toastmasters. Okay, you're not in Toastmasters. Okay, all right. And those of you that raise the hand, you. There is a service or the product that you are trying to sell or promote. Is there anyone inside here that does, those who raise your hand, is that the line of activity that you're doing? So those who raise the hand, I'm asking, are you selling some product or are you doing some, no? Anyone? So you're doing a product also, Henry? Okay, would you like me to try something for you now?
Sure.
No, I think I go for Henry first.
It's your lucky day, Henry.
Yeah. Henry. Okay, Henry, I will call you Henry. You stand here first. Okay. So, Henry, you're going to step into the lift shortly, okay? And so you're going to step and something will happen. You just stand here. Okay, okay? Okay. And then the door will open. Ting! Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jack Ma from Alibaba.
Oh, wow.
What did you do?
I'm actually the guy that you bought over recently. I'm from Lazada. So are you interested in buying more?
30 seconds. That's the only life you have a chance with Jack Ma. And you have just blew it, you know. Now, what's going to happen now is that I don't know whether this, I have not, we didn't do this, right? We didn't choreograph this, right? Now, in Jack Canfield, you know Jack Canfield, he wrote this, the chicken soup and that sort of stuff, right? You know what he did is he wrote, just stand here for a while, the success principle, okay? I got this from my coaching. It's a 30-day journey for where you are or where you want to be. And one of the things that he showed is the element of to have a wow elevator pitch skills. Now, for the next 50 minutes, while you're having a break, and he's not, because we're going to train him how to give an impactful wow elevator speech. So my business partner in crime is under pressure now to teach him for you. Are you willing to take this challenge now? Okay? So you're going to be taught on the techniques of what Jack Canfield has done and whether you're up to the speed to now convince Jack Ma. For your product, not for the other product of Lazada and that sort of things. It has to be about, this is something real. I wanted you to make it as real as possible. Okay? Then the leaves open. Hi, I'm Jack Ma.
Hi, I'm Henry from Payroll Panda.
What are you doing?
We're actually a software company that's targeted at SMEs because we can help you save so much time. Imagine a typical company would take 1 full day to run their payroll. We will do it in 3 clicks.
Wow!
Yeah, 3 clicks in 30 minutes. Imagine the ample time that you can save.
And thank you. I have to leave now.
Okay, see you. Contact me, Henry, Payroll Panda.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think when you perform?
Not enough time.
Not enough time. Unfortunately, unless you are on the Petronas 88th floor, you have enough time. But it doesn't matter whether it's elevator because we just reenacted. It could be been waiting at the ATM, right? It could be at the cafeteria waiting, or the bus stop, or waiting for your Uber car and that kind of stuff in front of one of the mall. These are the opportunity, a short moment you want to make it impactful. I just make it difficult for you, but still you manage to be able to tell, you know. Do you remember what he said, what his company is doing? Payroll. What did you remember most?
3 clicks.
3 clicks, yeah. And then he made the comparison, right? If an ordinary takes how long? 1 day. How long does it do? 3 minutes. Now, obviously, you have known the secrets that they don't know.
Yeah, but whatever it is, Hero Panda, Henry, nice to meet you.
Give him a round of applause. Thank you for the, okay, one of the elements, if I conduct a speech training program, is called the coaching moment. So Jamila has actually played the role as speech coach. Can you give her a round of applause then? When I taught top-notch scholars from Oxford and Cambridge to do their leadership program, and one of the things is for me to do the communication influencing skill. They are smart, intelligent. They know all their stuff, their nuclear fusion, their formula and everything. But the minute they stand in front, the butterfly gets into the way and they can't express. So my job is to transform them, and indeed they can see some really radical changes, because each and every one of you have that unique talent for you to be able to express, articulate, and as well sell your ideas. And that's the purpose. And I can't do that alone, because I'm just giving you the theory. I probably give you some aspect of the skill, but the speech coach plays the important role. This is like another mirror. When you speak, mirror can talk to you, but the speech coach knows your blind spot, and he says that, can you be a bit slower? Can you be a bit more having intonation, more volume, higher volume, better pitch? Can you choose different words? Can you then use your hand gestures? All those elements is really something that you would do then. So what technique did she use then? This is the technique that it's called the elevator. By the way, before we talk about that, there is a few things I need to mention. In Toastmasters, you normally have what they call the prepared speech. You have a couple of days. I was talking to Sui Eng just now. When I prepare a contest speech, it takes me 1 year. And I have a period called incubation. For me, the minute I got all my points, I incubate it first. I mull it first before I start. The skeleton is there already, but before I put the flesh, the ajinomoto and the chili sauce and the sambal and everything, it takes another couple of months. Let alone practicing it. In front of who? The children. I said, Dad, you are not that funny, lah. They're very frank. Because why? People that you care, they care about you. They want you to become better. So that's how you want to, and for that matter, prepared speech is something that you would normally have to do. The other one that in Toastmasters normally have is called or in other terms is the impromptu. You speak off the cuff. They give you a topic and you have to speak. And sometimes it happens in many occasions. They ask you, your mother-in-law may ask you, what have you been doing so far to see your grandchildren? So they ask you on the spot question, and you really have to answer it. But in between a prepared question and an impromptu session, there is another element. What is it called? Extemporaneous. Which means it's partly being prepared and partly being impromptu. And you do that when you go for interview for your jobs. You knew some of the answer, right? They ask you, what are your strengths? What are your area of improvement? You knew it. It's not about, Mr. Obama or Mr. Trump. It's about you. So you have got the answer. But the problem and the reason why it is not being well presented is because you have not thought through. You have not done the persuasion, the preparation. You just dive in and you can think that you can do persuasion. It doesn't happen that way. You are not the only one they call, by the way. When I work in Shell, I have to get, for one person, I have to have 100 CV to get into join, because I only have less than 10 graduate positions. That shows that if you don't prepare for it, then you're just not really helping yourself. So what we are doing just now, we just done that elevator speech. You can watch in the YouTube called the elevator pitch. 1 minute, they have a contest. So I watched that one. There's another one for postgraduates, which I also taught, is called a 3MT. 3 minutes thesis, and it's done by the university in Australia. They started it and they compete with one another for whatever thesis, PhDs or masters you have to sell to people within 3 minutes at the layman's language. And they compete around, and they do that in Malaysia also. So what we have done just now is that we have gone through that speech, and it's called the elevator speech, and as I said, partly. So what you want to do in the elevator speech is that's what he said just now. In the beginning, and because this is specific to business, so Jack Canfield mentioned is state your client, or in your Henry's case, your starting point was, what was your starting point just now? You state your client also, right? Yeah, what was it, the client? The SMEs. Sometimes the word SME, people don't understand. You know, small, medium enterprise like, so you want to state some example. So that sticks to the people. So you state who are your client because you want to give what? Why you want to state your clients there? And sometimes it's because you want some credibility, right? Yeah. What that in Aristotle language? So that's one way of immediately, and Cialdini said about it, right, in the 6th principle, and he says about using some authority. So that's Cialdini, principle number 3. You declare your service. So this is very much of a salesperson, and it could be declare your idea. What are you good at? What are your product? And this is quickly the point that you want to go in, articulate the benefits. That's where the 3 clicks in 3 minutes instead of 1 whole day. By the way, as I said, affirm your value, and you mention that this is what I can offer to you that will save you. So saving, you can say that here, but this one is whatever the people have said. What is it? What is this called? Affirm your value is where you state what you can offer and what is the follow-up action. So that's what Jack Canfield, and Jack Canfield in that book, he also dissect in terms of who the client. So if he speaks to the planner, so it happened that you know that the one that is coming is someone from the corporate planning side, then the way you declare your service is in line with the corporate planning people. You know, it was safe. Instead of doing it 30 days, you're just only going to do it only 3 days. So there's an element of planning, because why? You know your audience well. So you tune in so that then you will be able to hit what they are interested. Again, Monroe said that, right? Ida said that. Because whatever interest that links to them, the problem that they have, the thing that you have established the needs, that will bring out the desire and interest.
This is an opening technique. Yes, it's an opening technique. How you engage.
You think that's the need of the person only, so that's not where it is, right? So that's another phase.
Your client, how are you to convince them that this special paper is more beneficial than other kinds of paper?
Welcome back from the gallery walk. Although you don't go to France or other places, still in Kuala Lumpur, but I hope you have a journey that discover not so much about what they do, but discover about what you have. How you reflect this with you then. So maybe I just ask the curator, anything from the Persuade with Power? Number 7. Number 7 is not part of Richard Cialdini. That's part of Ahmad Fakhri and friend, you know. So it's called common purpose. It's called common. So it's easier to persuade if you have common purpose. Like if you and your children has a common purpose, we will save enough money that all of us will go Disneyland. Easy ma. Everybody say, yeah, why not? I save my money, I don't eat, blah, blah, blah. So it's easier. So it's called common purpose. So I don't think it's a no-brainer. And because once you have that, you know, you look at the cult. People will die for you or for the founder because of that, you know. Common purpose. Okay.
What other ways to use scarcity rather than limited time and number, so that the same method is not repeated.
Oh, financial, money, you save 20,000, you know. I can do better than 3 clicks, I can do 1 click. So you know, come to me. That's kind of trying to be better, but you diversified, of course. The common denominator will be certainly time, money, and something that people are so attached with. So that becomes them, this is called the object of desire, or things that they really want, okay? Give a round of applause to Chialdini. Oh, sorry, one more, sorry.
Example of using consensus in speeches.
Consensus, action from others to determine the this is what something that if everybody remember, everybody save towel, reuse towel, so reuse that, you know. People don't park the car at handicapped places unless you're handicapped, you know, because it's consensus. People knew that very well, and people look at actions which is common. So in an office environment, if everybody comes to work at 9, including the boss, so yeah, people would just have to behave the way it is, because it's a consensus way of doing things. And when it's being done publicly, when my vice president in Singapore wants to start his work-life balance, he declared in the crowd to say that this key at 5 o'clock, I'm giving it to my secretary to lock the door. I hope you will do also, leaders in this company. So he make it publicly and make it to determine so that people can behave then. All right? Thank you very much then. Aristotle, what is it?
How can we include ethos in our speech?
Ethos, how do you include? What do you think? How do you can't bring Superman during your speech, by the way, but you could quote their name, put quotation from Mahatma Gandhi, so this ethos is a convincing person and character that will give credibility to the content of, you know what, when I bought this particular thing in one of the shop, it's called Python, which is something to be on Teflon, and they immediately say, you know what, Datuk Lee Chong Wei and Badminton Association Malaysia is endorsing this product. Wow. I said, yeah, Lee Chong Wei. Of course, he won already with Lindan some time ago. That's how you put into your speech, you know, a believable person, a character, and many people does that. Many people, but you don't misquote. That's the thing, that some people misuse and quote, and yet it doesn't happen to it, you know. And that's where religious leaders tend to be misquoted by the followers. You know why he did this? And that, I think, is unethical then. Thank you then very much then, Shalu. Give a round of applause. Yeah, okay, Mr. Ahmad, Ambrose, or Jeff. What is it, Jeff, that they have?
Well, I was trying to replicate you.
Oh my God. You'll stay on your lane.
I think I was able to answer all the questions which were put to me, but one element which I think did need emphasising is the importance of grabbing the attention at the very beginning, not wasting time with what we often regard as common courtesies, like thanking Government 3X to whoever for being there, and thanking the company for their hospitality, because you failed to grab the attention. Would you like to add anything on to that?
Yes, the thing is the sensitivity of the occasion, and in the customary of the place is acknowledge the presence of these giants or these people. You may have to do that, it's part of the protocol. But if it's not necessary, then in my opinion, just move on. And because why? When you see, this is the persuasion. You walk in, the way you walk is already now showing whether you're going to give a good speech or whether you're going to be, you know, I'm not sure whether I want to give. That is already a problem, right? But the minute you go here, what you do, you add some more. Actually, they called me only last night, you know, to give this speech. No, the audience is very charged up, you know, let us call now upon the president, and then the president. So it doesn't help. And then you have a disclaimer and this sort of thing. Give it to the MC. Let it spill all those things. And you come in, you just sort of dive in to give. You know, and you know what was the memorable talk that is attention grabbing? It was done by a magician. He was a magician, so he used it. He took the light bulb, no connection, and he showed to people, if you have ideas, you have to have that brain to light this thing up. Suddenly the bulb lights up. Wow, that was a jaw-dropping moment and really attention grabber. Give a round to Mr. Jeff Endo. Aida Keda. How?
How to develop a favorable disposition. Favorable disposition.
Number 3. Yeah, you create that desire that they will have to say yes. So it depends on your product, and if you know your product or your service or your ideas very well, you articulate it in such a way that it is something positive, something that they will desire. Okay.
Second one is how to develop interest into desire.
Interest into desire. So the benefits comes in. Okay. What is it in for the listener to be able to use or take that product? I already said to them, you must speak, you must share your view. So then there's no problem, because this level they wanted to share also. Thank you very much, Akeda Aida. Monroe, nothing, no feedback, everybody?
Monroe was answered. Well, there was some curious upon how to know the need of the person when we're up there, because there's the second part where we highlight the need.
Okay.
So how do we know the need of the person before we talk about the need?
I mean, there is no rocket science in this. Your preparatory, your persuasion work activities is fundamental. The minute you knew that this guy is good in skiing and scuba diving, please go and check scuba diving. When is the latest swim? Where is the latest dive? Blah, blah, blah. So when you go, oh, I thought, your profile in your, is a good scuba diver. So when is your next trip to the Redang Island? Because, I have a friend. It's not you don't do scuba diving, right? So remember, Caldini said, when the two groups of the business students, when they meet together, one without the checking the liking of one another, principle number 5. So you got to know, you got to do it. That's where what? You touch the heart. And that's where what? Pathos come in. So that's where pathos come in, so that then you are able to connect with the audience. Okay, thank you very much. Number 5, when you go to number 6, Brian. Anything from you, Brian?
Quite a number of interests on item number 6.
Item number 6.
Contrast.
Whoa.
And, maybe Ahmad, you can share with us what type of illustration example you have on compare contrast.
I mean, he said that, what he did, he was comparing two different extremes. Yeah, two different extremes. And therefore, when you do your homework, you got to check whether one of these extremes is going to either going against or supporting the other aspect then. So that people can make that comparison at the beginning. And typically people use logos, which is statistics. Okay? Now there are 30 people in this room, 3 of you will die because of cancer according to the statistics of National Cancer Negara. However, if you do change your lifestyle, and it is proven by that same statistic company that now more than 90% of the people is going to survive. If you listen to my talk, I can guarantee you, because I am a cancer survivor, that will ensure you live longer than what the doctor said. Let's compare and contrast. I hope there's an impromptu from me. By the way, I'm truly a cancer survivor. Anyway, anything else? We have Jessie. What's the TED Talk like?
Come from them is like how to sync your passion with a task set by someone else.
Okay.
And how to keep the passion going without slowing down or and one more. Why 80 minutes?
Okay. Now let me respond to the first one. If I'm not mistaken, I think in the Have the Conversation chapter, he talks about to fake what you are going to say. Fake, F-A-K-E. You mask the thing. No, you do it for yourself. you still have to talk about that subject, you know, how to punish children before they age 10, for instance, you know. You don't like that subject, but because your boss asks you to do, so you keep talking. So one of the things that he said that if you keep doing something continuously and after some time, you get the hang of it, you'll improve with it, and you can then deliver a good job. But if it's not aligned to your values, stop it. It doesn't work. People can see your body language, you know, and people know, and nowadays they can check your Facebook and see whether you really like the thing or not. And the other thing, why 18 minutes? This is already being said that the retention of the brain, it's long enough for the brain to absorb the information, but short enough for them to take it seriously. So somebody asked me, so I've been given 1.5 hours by my client, and for them to do this, you know. I said, look, you know, you have that choice. The TED Talk says that the 18 minutes is the right time. You can leave the rest with question and answer or the demonstration of the thing, but your 18 minutes with ethos, pathos, logos, with IDA, with the whole thing inside there is enough to convince the audience without prolonging it. And because you have your multi-sensory slides already, it's all evoking the emotions. The brain is being stimulated with numbers, figures that come out. By the way, you must memorize numbers. 384 BC, something that I memorized when was Aristotle life. I attend Toastmasters Club. Although people ask me, why do you still continue to attend? You are already a DTM. I said, you know what? I'm practicing to harness, to polish, and strengthen my memory power. Nothing at that moment I will use a paper. It will be into the mind map, and I will recall. I will stand up to start wobbling up my adrenaline, pump myself, ready to give the speech, and when I walk up, everything has to flow naturally. Because why? I train my brain to memorize all the things that is happening as if it is being happened in the moment. I tell Lina just now, these 3 hours is in my brain for the last many days. I knew how the gallery walk going to happen. I knew what position that has to be. I knew how those things is going to be. I check and check and check, because I'm not going to miss any single details when it comes to making sure that I am responsible for your learning. All right. Are you okay? Okay then, wow.
One of the questions is at the parking lot, but basically the questioner wanted to know, how do you start sharing your product or your service with somebody who is totally a stranger?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you just don't want to say, hey, you want to buy this or not, you know? You do. No, the rapport comes in first, you know? You have to be VIP. I mean, we all are VIPs, you know, very impatient people. No, you know, it takes time to build that, you know. It's certainly something that you have to invest in that time. And sometimes it doesn't take a lot of period for you to master that, okay? So my suggestion is that do the background check, make sure that you got your information right, test the water first. Don't start to throw like a dart and expect them, you know, they expect with open arms. No. You know, test the water a bit. Back off if you need to back off, but then come back again. Okay, we are ready now into running times. I'm giving the last moment, which is the question and answer. Is there any other questions that people would like to have? Questions? Okay.
When we speech or when we talk, how to not do blank.
Yes. That's happened. My daughter, when she starts to have that panic into it, and when the butterflies start controlling the stomach, and that's a problem because now all the oxygen is going there instead of to your brain, you become absolutely panicked, anxious, and God says, God help you at that time. The technique that I told her, and I've used this technique, and I use this also, it's called the breathing techniques. So, you follow me. What I'm going to do now, you take a deep breath, and then you're going to hold for 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let go, slowly. One more time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let go. One more time. Let go. I hope it calms you down. Otherwise, just like me and Jamila, we swim 20 laps at least so that the lungs get bigger and then you have more air. I do ask you to Google and watch some of the YouTube, and there is in fact in the TED Talk, I think it's not only about speaking, how to be effective in your pronunciation and that sort of things. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's quite, you just go to TED then. One more question? Last one? Yes, Haziq.
Is it such thing as a tough crowd, or is it because of the speaker itself is not performing?
You see, in any crowd, you will have the different character. The smart Alex who's going to throw out a lot of darts to you. The one that is a prisoner, he comes because his boss asked to come, but he doesn't want to be there physically, but emotionally he's in Pluto. And then there's some people who just wanted to, couldn't be bothered and start playing with WhatsApp and that sort of things. Now, if you are able to capture their needs and imagination, you would be able to let them focus on your title. You must make it important to them that by listening to you, they are going to get something. The what is it in for me is very critical for them. No, what is it in for you to come to this session? You want to know about public speaking. Now, if I start to talk about how to do ikebana and bonsai, half of you will be away 20 minutes ago. So that's how I see it then. This is what they call the pose. I make sure I remember the persuasion. All done? See, I like to declare that if you remember 3 hours ago, here was 33% and this was 33%. Okay? I have now shift you to move to here, and half of you is already here. Although just now it was 26%. This was 4, this was also 8. 8%, now I've got 33%. So 1/3 of you are into the direction to become a top-notch hallmark speaker. Well done, and give you a round of applause. The next question is, what do you like about the workshop? What do you like about it? Yes. Wow. 140 characters and... Well, I'm so relieved.
Komen tadi yang Abdul Andrea was presenting, tiba-tiba kan, I said that's the real life.
So the gallery walk seems to be something that people think, that's very interesting. Oh, the speaker has kuih. It's good that we didn't give you nasi lemak, otherwise you'll be snoring, Yeah, very good techniques, that good experience, incredibly. Okay, I think that's, you can continue for some of you. For the next of you, I have that final question. You have any comments, it could be positive, it could be area of improvement, it could be the questions and what's next and that kind of stuff. We do have your contact details and we will certainly come back to you. Longer session! Yes, possible. You want more gallery walk? Oh, that's interesting. We put Mona Lisa next time, so that then more people. More time for application? Yes. It is done on purpose. 80-20. I think 80% was me talking, more role plays. That one I agreed. I would have done that in my real session, as I said, the speech coaches. Live demo, bigger tables. Oh, split session, more real, live demo. Focus dive on, the gallery owners to be more, okay, thank you very much. Despite that, you like gallery walk, okay. Practice session, yeah, we have to make that choice. It's a tough choice. But here's my last word from you. the ball is on your court. You have all the resources and the capabilities and the capacity to be what you want to be. Anthony Robbins, I use ethos, right? Anthony Robbins, yeah? There's a giant that needs to be awakened inside you. Now, I'm a great believer that when God created all of us, there must be something unique about you as an individual. Our challenge is to find that uniqueness. And the minute you discover that uniqueness, it is the time to give back, because you will find meaning in what you have discovered, because you have given back to the right people. In no way that you have wasted your time in this world, because you are there to make the impact, to make the difference. And I dare you that each and every one of you, putting your hearts and mind, you can become not only better than me, you can become the top-notch class, the hallmark speaker from the entire universe if you set your heart and do the journey from now onwards. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the success, and I hope, and I sincerely hope, that you will be the most persuasive speaker that will ever known. Thank you very much, and all the best.